Okay, good morning. Happy Friday. So, yeah, long video last night. So, we continue on with my number five team. So, this time it is Sarah and not enough Mingos. So, another surprise team in my top five, rounding out my top five. So, first player nominated for $71, and you got him, Jamar Chase. Now, Chase is the reigning number one fantasy receiver. He outscored, I want to say, Justin Jefferson by 85 points in fantasy last year, and he had 9 top 10 fantasy weeks. He helped Patrick win a championship, so that's an important caveat. And he had the most routes, targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns in the league. He's finished as a top 12 receiver all 4 of his years in the NFL. He just got paid, so he was the highest paid non-quarterback up until this Micah Parsons basically deal. And he's got Joe Burrow with an elite offense and a really terrible defense. So, what do I think? Well, to start, I think you paid too much. I mean, I know you really like Chase, obviously. You wore his jersey to our draft. But it's just tough for me when I see Patrick get Amon-Ra for 55 and Justin Jefferson for 54 and be like, oh yeah, Jamar Chase is worth $16, $17 more than those guys. He's not. And as good a season as he had last year, I don't know if he's going to have just as good a season. Just purely based on regression. Like last year, he had 17 touchdowns. Do we actually think he's going to score 17 touchdowns this year? I don't. Now, there's nothing wrong with 12. 12's a good amount of touchdowns for anyone. I think he'll have like 1,500 yards. I think he'll be in the conversation for most receiving yards for a player. But I'm also expecting Jefferson now with J.J. McCarthy to take another step, whereas with the Bengals, I don't know where the next step would be. It's kind of like you're getting everyone, just like my issue with Robbie taking Chase Brown, you're getting everyone at their apex. You're not taking any sort of discount. You're going purely off what they just did, that is like what they're going to continue to do. And I have a really tough time thinking Chase is going to have 17 touchdowns and 1,700 yards. Just a lot. It's hard to ask of anyone. The only real guy who ever really consistently did that, you'd have to go way back to Calvin Johnson, and they were force-feeding him. So it's nothing that he's doing wrong. It's just I have a difficult time from year to year seeing someone doing that over and over. So I think you'll get like your 120 catches. I think you'll get your 1,500 yards. He's a bona fide top 3 receiver. He's he's an excellent player, Hall of Fame talent. We'll say talent. It's going to take some years and some production to see where it lands, but talent. So, yeah, I don't love it. You, in my opinion, overpaid for what he is, especially building around a receiver is hard. Yeah, Patrick did the classic RB0. You kind of did like the cut through. You did like RB2 players. You didn't get like a star running back. So, because at the 8th nomination for $46, you got Bucky Irving. Now, I like Bucky Irving. I traded for him last year. I'm a big believer in him. I talked him up in last year's draft. He was a 4th round pick out of Oregon. He didn't really take over till like week 6. And then he was the number 10 running back for the rest of the season. So he was I think he put up 15 points in 9 of the last 12 games. So excellent player. I've always said just kind of like Rachaad White is like the continuation of Ronald Jones. And I've always just felt that the problem with those guys is they have a lot of speed. They don't have any vision, all right? That was my issue with Jones. He never had any vision. White's the same way. Bucky actually has vision. Now, he doesn't have the breakaway speed of Ronald Jones. He doesn't have the hands of Rachaad White. I'll give you that. Rachaad White's a very good pass catcher. But what Bucky does have is he has very good above, we'll say above average. I need to see more, but above average vision. He's able to get the ball, see the hole, and then with his lateral quickness and his contact balance, kind of push through it. He's a small guy, so you're hoping he holds up. I don't know if he's going to get, he's only 192 pounds. I weigh more than him because I'm taller than him, which is kind of a crazy thing to consider. He's only 5'8". So I think he's like a fringe RB1. I think he'll obviously get more work, but the reason why he's not like he's not a super elite guy is because like Derrick Henry's probably gonna get like 350 touches. Bucky is probably gonna get around 300 if we count the receptions. So, but he's not gonna get 300 carries, which is good and bad. It means he'll stay healthier for longer, but you'll get less production. He'll be really efficient about it, which is what I like about him. But I think it's unlikely that he gets like 20 touches a game. He'll probably be around the 15 mark, but he'll do a lot with them. All of that's to say, he'll probably have like, say 1,200 yards rushing, we'll say 53 receptions, we'll say around like 11 touchdowns. So borderline RB1, like in the realm of like a back end, like a top 8-ish running back, which honestly for the money is killer. Like I mentioned before, I think Mac got Kyren Williams for 44, and you got Bucky Irving for 46, and I got James Cook for 45, and I feel the worst about the three of them. So, yeah, I really like Bucky Irving. He's just got to stay healthy. But I have zero concerns about Rachaad White taking that job because White doesn't have Bucky's vision. It's just simple as that. 64th nomination, $26, James Conner. So this is definitely, if freaking Charlie was building a Birds team, this is definitely where she should have gone. She completely missed the boat. So Conner has been, let's see, last year he was drafted by Mac. He got traded to Lauren. He's never played a full regular season, but he's gotten at least 220 touches 4 years in a row. It's really kind of odd, solid player. I think he's averaged over 1,000 yards the last 4 years too because of those 220 touches. So, yeah, I think last year he actually if you count the receiving, he broke 1,500 yards. So he's probably like a back end top 20 back. We'll say like maybe like 17th. So he's a solid RB2. If Bucky's a fringe RB1, Connor's a solid RB2. So for the price, like it's not as big a steal as some of the other ones, but it's like a good quality, like thrifty signing. Connor's worth at least $10 more than this. Like probably around, like if Bucky for me is worth around like a $55 player, Connor's probably like a $33, $34 player. So both these like are thrifty signings. I really like Connor. I think he'll get you 1,000 yards rushing. I think he'll get you another 300 yards receiving. I think he'll get you double-digit touchdowns. And obviously, he's going to miss some games, so just be aware of that. But I think you are aware of that based on how you draft your team. So we'll get to that. But he's a rock-solid RB2. He's nothing spectacular. He's not going to have any breakaway plays. You're not going to see very many highlights. But whenever they're in the red zone, they're going to feed him. Whenever they're like doing some screen passes, they're going to feed him. He's a good, solid player, and he gets a lot of, for what he is, which is getting a lot of touches, he's a quality player. It's funny, he's actually really broken out in Arizona after being in Pittsburgh, and it's sad as a Steelers fan. He's become what Najee Harris was supposed to become, and we had him before Najee, so it's just like, what are we doing? Now we have Caleb Johnson, so we just keep cycling through. 67th overall nomination, $16, Terry McLaurin. Okay, so obviously McLaurin's been breaking out. I mean, he's had a run of terrible quarterbacks until last year where you got Jaden Daniels. So he's also in the 6-year player, so he's in that like DK Metcalf, Brandon Ayuk draft. And I want to say last year he had his most touchdowns with 13. He was like a top 15 receiver. Um, his volume hasn't changed all that much. I think I don't think he's gonna get like another 13 touchdowns. That just seems like a lot. I think like 10 touchdowns. I mean, some people were kind of hesitant because of the holdout. I was more hesitant about like Micah. Well, lo and behold, look what happened with that, and Hendrickson even because I don't know if he's in shape. But McLaurin was actually there practicing. I mean, he was unhappy, but I was kind of just like, this organization now with Daniel Snyder gone and Josh Harris as the owner seems to be turning it around and actually give a crap about their players. So I was always confident something would be worked out, and lo and behold, here we are. So I think he'll get you like 1,100 yards. I think he'll get you like 8 touchdowns. I think he's like a mid range, like our wide receiver too. So like roughly around where you draft him, like a 15 top 15 receiver. Which again, Jerry Jeudy went for like $8, and he's around there. And I still think this is a deal for what McLaurin is, and he only went for 16, and these are like $25 guys. So good. We're just consistent. Like after we spent a lot on Chase, we've kind of made up for it with our next 3 picks. We've saved some money with quality players. So 89th nomination, $2. I threw him out there to chum the waters. Brandon Ayuk. So I mean, I like Ayuk. It's just gonna be a while. Like you have a torn ACL, he has a torn ACL, but he also has a torn MCL. So, and this was luckily after he got a contract extension. And to be fair to him, he was a top 15 receiver in 22 and 23, and he had over 1,300 yards in 23, so he was excellent. Like again, people forget how good the 49ers were just 2 years ago. But he wasn't scoring. I don't think he scored like any touchdowns. Obviously, he didn't score any touchdowns last year. So he's still in his prime at 27 for a receiver. The offense now, Debo's gone, but still rather crowded. We have Jawan Jennings. We have Ricky Pearsall. We have Christian McCaffrey. We'll have to see what happens when he comes back, how healthy Brandon Ayuk is, where he fits into all that. Is he the number 1? Is he the number 2? Where does he fit on this team? So I think he's only going to probably play half the season. I don't think he's going to be ready just because, like, if he's on IR, so he can't even practice. So he's not going to be ready till, like, week 8, week 9? I need to check their bye week, but it's going to be a while. So we're going to say like 500, 550 yards, maybe 3 or 4 touchdowns. He'll be like a top 25-ish wide receiver, but it really is going to depend. How healthy is he? When is he back? What's his role? There's a lot of variables. For $2, I don't mind it. I probably would have spent like 4 just to find out. Like just kind of like Rashee Rice is missing 6 games and he went for $5. Jordan Addison went to Robbie. I think he only paid $3, and no, he paid $6 for Addison, and he's gone for 3 games. So like, yeah, you're hoping they'll be there on the back end, but you kind of, I spent $5 on Chris Godwin. So there's quite a few guys where you're just kind of like, let's see. The thing is with Ayuk, he's probably gonna be out longer than any of them. So it's going to be a while, but you paid the least, so good for you. I do like Brandon Ayuk, and I'm rooting for him. 91 overall, $14, Devontae Smith. I know you read that Warren Sharp chapter, because I read that Warren Sharp chapter. He's entering year 5. He's finished each of the past 3 years as a top 20 receiver. Considering the Eagles were the second most run-heavy team last year, they're probably going to pass more because they're going to be more healthy. I know his target share is a bit volatile just because they have A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert, and they have Saquon Barkley, and that's not even counting Hurts running, but I just think he's on the come up. I think he's going to get 1,000 yards. I think he's going to get like 8 touchdowns. I think he's going to be a rock solid like wide receiver 3, possibly low end wide receiver 2. But they're definitely going to pass more. Like he's going to get his. Everything about the the Eagles' offense is elite. It's scary. So love it. Love the pick. Was sad to not get him. I think this quality selection. I think getting McLaurin at like 16 is a better deal than Smith at 14, but it's still not like he's still like a $20 player. So really like him. Happy for you. I think the Eagles are going to air it out. Number 113 nomination, $4, Trey Benson. So, as I mentioned before with Connor always misses games. Lo and behold, we get the backup from Florida State going into his second year, Trey Benson. So, he never really pushed him last year. He only got like 63, I want to say, touches. And he was like splitting the carries with Amari DiMercato, I want to say his name is. But he was pretty good when he got the ball. And while Connor's been like the bell cow back for a number of years in Arizona. When he misses games, I mean, he's entering year 30, or not year 30, he's entering age 30. You need someone to spell you, and I think Benson is a quality player. I think he's trying to find his way in the league. I don't know if he's got the talent to be a starter, but I haven't seen enough of him to know that. So I think he's a quality backup. I think he's young, so there's some upside if anything were to happen to Connor. We'll say maybe since Arizona kind of likes to run the ball, funny enough, 600 yards, maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns. But realistically, you're just like, James Conner's out. I'm going to put in Trey Benson. That's really what he's there for. 121 nomination, $2, Justin Herbert. Okay, I guess. I think Herbert. I mean, first, let me say this, not to get into dating, but Justin Herbert's currently dating Madison Beer. She is fantastic. I saw her in concert last year. Fantastic woman. Just love her music. Beautiful girl. Super happy for them. Taylor Swift just got engaged. A lot of love is in the air. So just want to throw that out there. Super happy for him. But yeah, Herbert's got big time talent. He looks the part. He's like 6'5", 250, runs like a bull. He's kind of like the West Coast Josh Allen in the way he looks. But the problem is, he's not in a Josh Allen offense. He is in a Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman, slow, run-heavy offense. I don't think Herbert's ever finished top 8 in pass attempts or pass yards or touchdowns or carries or rush yards. So he's finished outside the top 10 as a quarterback 3 years in a row. And realistically, the thing with Herbert is he's got a high floor because he doesn't make mistakes. He only threw 3 interceptions during the regular season, and he only had 2 fumbles. Obviously, he had that playoff game, which just everything fell apart, and that was terrible. But that's also part of my issue with taking a Mustang and then trying to kind of slow play a sprint, essentially. Because I see the playoffs as a sprint, and Jim Harbaugh's trying to slowly work your way into the playoffs. You can't do that. You're playing the elite of the elite. You got to go. You got to go fast. So I like Herbert. The issue is his floor is not. I mean, his floor is kind of high. I think his floor is better than Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud, Michael Penix. It's better than a lot of guys. But the problem is the ceiling is not. The ceiling's maybe a top 10 fantasy quarterback if you're lucky. And that's not, that's startable, but it's not great. I would rather have Bo Nix or Baker Mayfield. Obviously, you paid nothing for him, paid $2, so I get it. But this is definitely the sore spot on your team. This is definitely the sore spot on your lineup. He might throw for 4,000 yards, but he'll probably get around the same amount of touchdowns, which is 25, and the interceptions are definitely going up. So I think Herbert is quality. I like him, but as a fantasy quarterback, he's more of like bye week filler than he is someone I would want to start a whole season. I know you're going to be on the lookout for a quarterback, so just, I don't blame you. It was a lot of teams waited on quarterback, and I saw that this year, so that is why I went in on getting an elite quarterback, because I didn't want to be a part of that. So I understand, I get it, but it's still just like, don't love it, not great, we're not, tough. 145 nomination, $2, Rachaad White. The Colander reappears, the second coming of the Colander, we can call it. He's entering year 4. I think, during 2023, he was top 5 in snaps, touches, carries, routes, catches, yards, and fantasy points, but he was not efficient. I watched that, and it was like the back end of the season. I was just like, you're just getting eaten up, but you have no vision. He had no efficiency. Like, he's a good pass catcher, but he is not good behind the line of scrimmage, like making decisions or like having any sort of vision. He just kind of runs where you tell him to run. He's one of only 2 guys in the past 3 years with 50 receptions per season. Funny enough, the other guy's Alvin Kamara. I would not have guessed that. So White is taking a back seat. It is the Bucky Irving show now. It is all Bucky Irving. Sorry. I know people may not like that. They might be like, oh, well, Rachaad White looks the part. He's got breakaway speed, and he's like 6'1". And it's like, I don't care. He doesn't have vision. It does not matter. So we'll say like 500 yards rushing. We'll say like 30 receptions. I think Bucky's breaking out. But White will be like, if Bucky gets hurt, he's a solid backup. I don't love him. He's not great, but he can play. He does some things well. Other things not so well, but some things well. For me, he's more of a one-trick pony because of his pass receiving, but his pass receiving will keep him in games. It makes him useful. So, the 154th nomination, $6, J.K. Dobbins. So, yeah. I remember Dobbins coming out in the draft, and Baltimore had a first-round grade on, took him in the second round, blew out his knee twice. Yeah, twice. Wow. Last year, he was handed the Chargers' backfield, which is now Marion Hampton has replaced him. Actually, him and Gus Edwards were in the Chargers' backfield for Greg Roman again, so a reunion, and then they both got replaced with Marion Hampton and Najee Harris. He had, I want to say 15 points, 15 fantasy points 6 times, but he also had below 11 points 7 times. So he also missed 4 games. So very weird season. He had over 1,000 yards technically if you count the rushing and receiving, but here's the way I look at it. I think Dobbins starts out the year as the starter just because Sean Payton trusts him. It's kind of like Alvin Kamara did not start till Game 4 for the Saints, or Game 5 actually for the Saints, and they had to trade away Adrian Peterson. I feel the same way about R.J. Harvey. I like R.J. Harvey. We'll get to him in Stefan's video, but the point is I don't think he cannot pass block, and you need to be able to pass block to protect Bo Nix. J.K. Dobbins can do that. So I think Sean Payton's going to trust him more. I think he's going to start the year out as the starter. I think they'll split carries. And Dobbins is more going to be the in-between the tackles rusher, whereas Harvey's going to be the pass catcher. I don't think it's going to be as good as last year. I think, he was the lead back for LA last year. Now he's not going to be for Denver, but he'll still get 700 yards rushing. He'll still get 250 yards receiving. He'll still get 6 or 7 touchdowns. He's a flex running back for what he is, but you'll get some usage out of him until I think at some point Harvey's going to take over. I don't know when that'll be. It'll probably be some time. It takes coaches time to trust rookie running backs unless they use the draft capital on them that forces their hand. But kind of like Aaron Jones, I always thought was great, and they didn't give him a shot till like week 11. It's going to be some time till RJ Harvey gets a chance. Now I think it'll be sooner than that, but it's still going to take some time. So in the meantime, Dobbins is going to get some run. So yeah, for $6, I don't mind it at all. You're getting an early starting player. It's kind of like Jerome Ford for Robbie. He's splitting carries with Dylan Sampson. I think the rookies will take at some point. In that case, it'll probably be Judkins. But the point is, he still has value. He's still seeing a share of the touches. It's kind of like Zach Moss last year for me, and then Chase Brown breaks out. You don't really know how things are going to break. Maybe the other guy gets hurt, but in the meantime, he's a quality player. He's solid. He's not the guy. He's more of a guy, but he's still in a position to produce, and that's something. 168 nomination, $4. Brian Robinson Jr., who got traded from Washington in a surprise to San Francisco to be the backup to Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, last year he dominated the goal line touches, but he wasn't great. He wasn't terribly efficient. I would say he's a slightly above average running back who's also, funny enough, 26 years old, the same age as Dobbins, but he came out late. He's now clearly the backup to McCaffrey, and McCaffrey is an unknown, to say the least. I'll talk more about him in Leyland's video, but the point is, this is basically just like a bet on McCaffrey not staying healthy the whole year, and I don't think that's a bad bet considering what McCaffrey's injury history and what he's coming off. In the meantime, we'll kind of split the baby. We'll say he essentially covers like half a season. So we'll say like 400 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving. We'll say like 5 touchdowns. It's not going to be as good as last year where he was the guy. He's more of like a flex option if something were to happen to McCaffrey, because I imagine they would go to a timeshare. It won't just be Brian Robinson Jr., but he's a quality, he's another solid running back. He's a better fit in the West Coast offense. That's why they traded for him. And we saw what Jordan Mason could do last year when McCaffrey was out. First 8 games, Mason led the league in rushing. So it's just about how much runway does Robinson get, and that's really the question. If it's McCaffrey's gone and Robinson's slightly splitting up work, but he's taking over 75% of the carries, he's going to do some work, man. So it's just a matter of what happens with McCaffrey, which is weird to say. But good on San Francisco for realizing that letting go of Jordan Mason was not great and that they needed someone to start at running back if something happens to McCaffrey. Then 202 nomination for $1, Woody Marks. So Robbie's really high on the Nick Chubb train. I'm not. Marks was taken in the 4th round this past season. I think he had some crazy number, which was 1,500. Yeah, he had 261 receptions and 1,500 yards receiving in his college career. He wasn't a great rusher, nor is he great at breaking tackles. He's just he's more quick than fast. I think he only ran a 4.54 40-yard dash. But if we're being honest, I don't know when Joe Mixon's coming back, and I think Nick Chubb's kind of just he's on his way out. Dare Agundawale is a special teams player, and Dameon Pierce has never shown enough for me to believe in him. So I think Marks is more of a flyer than a lottery ticket, so I think he's a little more reliable than that. It's really just a matter of how are things going to break for him. I think he's a good player. this was a deep, deep running back class. So it's a matter of his if enough injuries happen, will he get a chance? I think last year he was at USC. So before that he was at Mississippi State. But he's a good player. He is behind a terrible offensive line. I don't have a problem with you rolling the dice on him. You'll give him like half the season, see what happens. Does Mixon come back? Is Chubb done? Does Pierce have anything in the tank at all? At all? He just needs a chance. That's all I think Marks needs, because what he showed in college is something that the other four, so Chubb, Agumbawale, Pierce, and Mixon don't have. And what he has is explosive speed. If you get him out in the open field, he's gone. So his vision's not great. I don't love that. He's kind of like Rachaad White in that sense. But honestly, if you took Rachaad White and you dropped him on the Texans, I think he'd start for them right now. So we're going to see what happens with the Texans, but I don't think that's bad. I think you're going to kind of sit on Mark, see what happens, give it like half a season. But I think sooner or later he's going to get a shot, because the other guys aren't. They've not shown nothing, man. So 213 nomination for $1. Your old friend, tight end, David Njoku. So he's back. It's year 9. I didn't even think of that before I went into this. But yeah, year 9 in Cleveland. He was actually, when he played last year, he had a career high, I want to say 13 and a half fantasy points. He was like a top 10 scorer in 7 of 11 games. For tight ends, he was top 25 if you count receivers and tight ends. I think last year, what was it? He had 5 touchdowns. And despite him never being the guy in Cleveland, and despite Jameis Winston being gone, I think he's still a solid player. I think he'll get 750 yards receiving. I think he'll get 5 touchdowns. He's a back-end flex kind of guy that you can occasionally throw out there. But he'll be competent. He might get you some red zone looks. And for $1, what we're looking for is competency. We're just looking for someone to kind of hold the line. So, especially at the back end of the draft. So I don't mind it. I think he's a quality tight end. I don't think he'll have a top 25 wide receiver season, but top 50-ish, and he can play. So it's not exciting. I'd rather take some upside, but I can't argue for $1. You're not going to beat that. So it's just a good player to round out the team. So okay. I put you at number 5, and you're just well, you've talked a lot about what you liked about my team, what you thought about it, and I've got some steals. I'm it's true. You have, and I like your receivers. But the reason why I have you number 5 is I don't think you have the upside of the other teams. I also think that another big thing is Patrick went RB0, and I talked about a lot in that video that essentially only one team has won a championship in our league without a top 5 running back. And you've kind of gone away from that too as well. Patrick fully leaned into that. You've kind of halfway done that with this team, but your really only star players, Jamar Chase. And while I like Bucky Irving and I like James Conner and I like Terry McLaurin, I don't love anybody. So I think you might have a tough time with if you run into an elite team. I don't know also, despite your depth, I'm not sure you have the pieces to be able to trade for an elite player. That's going to depend on how things break during the season. Oh yeah, since Ayuk's on IR, you did pick up Wan'Dale Robinson. I guess I'll quickly talk about him. So he's entering year 4. He's the slot guy in New York. He helped Patrick win a championship, funny enough. He was starting in the championship game and had the best game of the season in the championship game. So, he is what New York thought they got in Kadarius Toney. It's weird thing to say. He doesn't get very far down the field. He's strictly a short area slot guy. I think that'll help with Russell Wilson. He'll get a lot of. I don't think he'll have as good a season as he had last year. He had 93 catches for like 700 yards. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he'll have like close to 700 yards, but he'll do it on like 70 receptions. But he'll maybe only get like 3 touchdowns again. So he's okay. He's just a guy. At the back end of your bench, that's okay. It's not really worth anything. He's pretty replaceable. But there will be weeks where he can competently just be put into your lineup and play. All right, back to the overall review. So the point is, I like the team. I think the team is quality. I think you did a good job building the team. I question whether this will be enough to win a title, but you're not, like, in the same sense that Brian's team is, like, quite deep, but it's missing star talent. You're kind of missing star talent too, but I'm comfortable with that because, obviously we're coming out of the draft. We don't know what the team's going to look like. It's not going to look the same way once we get to the playoffs. I think you're a rock-solid playoff team. I think you might have a tough time if you run into some elite talent. I think Patrick's just going to have to be like the archetype for this. But basically, if Patrick gets into the playoffs completely healthy and no one else has really made any like big trades, Patrick's going to be the heavy favorite for me. And the reason why is because there's just going to be weeks where Justin Jefferson or Amon-Ra St. Brown or Devontae Adams or Jerry Jeudy just go bananas, and you're going to have no shot. So that's the kind of team where you're scared of, because I don't think there's going to be weeks where James Conner's going to go crazy, or like Justin Herbert goes crazy, or J.K. Dobbins goes crazy. I think they're quality, solid players with a good, solid floor, but not a high ceiling. And that's okay. But that's why I have you where I have you. I still think it's a top 5 draft. I still think you'll make the playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs, but I do think you're one of those teams that's also kind of seeing how the season goes and then being on the lookout for like elite talent, because that's what's going to push you over the top as well. But I think you put yourself in a good position. I think this is a very solid team. I would definitely, before we even get to like looking for elite talent, I'd definitely be on the lookout for a better quarterback, just because like if Herbert is as safe as he was last year, but for whatever reason we throw for a little less touchdowns, he's not startable in our league. It's just not. It's not going to happen, especially because Roman and Harbaugh seem to be limiting his rushing. It's not a great recipe for being a starting quarterback in our fantasy league. So definitely be on the lookout to upgrade quarterback. That's like your first order of business. But everything else, we got a quality team. We did a quality build. We're going to make the playoffs. We'll just kind of figure it out from there. But it's interesting to me, you decide to go away from a top 5 running back and go towards let's build around Jamar Chase. I think you did a good job of it. I don't know. I kind of wish, this is mean, but I kind of wish instead of Bucky Irving, we went in on a second star player and then we like cheaply tried to build just to see what that would look like. But I understand why you did what you did. Because you have the depth to be able to be versatile and make moves. So I like the team though, Sarah. Don't have me say like you didn't do a good job. You did a great job. This is one of your better drafts, and I'm excited to see what you do during the season. I also do not know if I will beat you when I play you, which I play you in 2 weeks, funny enough. So we shall see.